Meeting. Can everybody hear me? Okay. There's a few things I'd like to say toward the beginning of this, but at this point, I'm calling the meeting to order. Please stand. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't hear you. You were. Okay. Certainly. And as soon as you're finished, Karen, if you take the roll. This is the WebEx meeting. It's a portion of that, yes. We're doing this in person, but we've got others joining us from afar. I see on the screen Peter Kern has joined us and Barb Scott has joined us from their offices, I assume. But the rest of us are in person. Not a problem. Take your time. Set of lights above Don that are not on. Is there some way of getting those turned on? I think that might help them see better.
Those are left off for the, otherwise you can't see that screen.
How important it is that we see the screen, except for those that are possibly viewing us remotely.
Well, the people seeing it remotely don't care if you see the screen.
We try turning them on, please. Would that be okay? Make sure Don can see okay.
Yes, I'm all right now.
You're okay?
Apologize for delay.
See if we can rectify. Nope. I guess it is what it is. Don, can you see okay? Okay.
Thank you.
You're certainly welcome. Karen, would you take roll call, please?
Don Steve,
Here.
Lee Van Licht,
Here.
Sherry Gilstein, Dan Nelson.
Okay. All committee members are here. We have a quorum. We have an agenda, and I believe I may have made a mistake, and I'd like to address that briefly. I had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting. I did that yesterday, and I probably waited too long. But I found a number of things that had to be changed on the minutes to the agenda. Get taken up. Should have been a meeting. And I did add them last evening, and I got a call this morning from Clint indicating that by state law, have to be added to the next meeting. One of those items was the one that had to do with the subject that Barb And Karen brought up at our last meeting indicating that we needed a new printer for her office, so we cannot deal with that now. The other was the program that Karen and Barb had brought up, that we are the only county in the state that does not have it. And that's something we should have been able to provide today, but we are not. And the other one was one that Don had brought up, and that was to indicate um, the schedule for the next month. We know what Karen's schedule is, but we need to know if there's anything else coming up where the office will be closed, or just to kind of keep us informed. So those 3 items we're going to have to set off and put onto the next meeting schedule. So Karen, would you please make sure that that gets on the next agenda?
Yep. Sorry. Yes, I will.
Thank you. So with that in mind, we'll be skipping those several items. And with that, I'd like to ask someone to move to have the agenda and the post. They've been posted? Okay. Okay. Van moves that we approve the agenda. Any second? Okay, Sherry seconds that.
You guys have to turn your mics on when you're speaking.
Okay, yeah, I think we're far enough away. If you want to leave your mics on, that might be easiest. That way it keeps us from having to remember to turn them on all the time. If we start getting feedback, we can play with them. So number 4 is taken care of. The agenda has been approved along with the posting. Number 5, review and approve the February 18th meeting minutes. Karen, you gave us a couple sets.
So one of them, there's two, there's one
Okay.
printing on it. That is the one that was prepared by, this other, section, the other one I had prepared also ahead of time, a couple weeks ago. Now, what format, but I just wanted you guys to consider as a possibility. This format is, directly following finance and personnel.
It's directly following finance and personnel and how the clerk of courts, Victor Vlasic, does the minutes. And I followed his format almost to the T. I tried to add any other details and anything that you guys might appreciate having added. So I just ask you guys to look at this, consider the format, consider this as one of the minutes that if you choose to accept, now that we have 3 versions of them. If you like this format better, I can absolutely follow it from now on. So it's just for your consideration.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Seep?
The one you're proposing for consideration is 5A.
Was there anything for her to say?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, would it be in order for us to have an opportunity to take a longer look at this and bring it back to the next meeting for approval? This gives us a time to think about it. Thank you. Would that be in order?
I think that would be fine. Karen?
I need to just ask your advice. Can we postpone the minutes, the February minutes being approved until May?
We can
Okay.
delay on that.
So I'll postpone it, or we'll add it to the May agenda for the February minutes.
So what are we postponing? The set that you're considering or the set that was produced?
Karen, could you lean into the mic a little more?
I'm sorry. Yep.
And what did you say?
So in May's meeting, we will vote to accept the minutes of April and February. is what I'm just looking for clarification. And Clint says that, yes, we can do that.
All right,
Okay,
I understand.
I have 3 sets of minutes in front of me. The ones that you sent out initially, the ones that you had to turn into Victor, and we got also.
Mhm.
So we have this. There's a set of minutes that I took based on the video that we had done last time, which also came directly from what you had written with additions of things that had been missed. And we also have the third set, which is the one you're proposing today.
Just for your consideration.
Okay.
And I've also added to those as well. So I apologize for not sending them out ahead of time. I probably should have.
This is the first I've seen of it. So
Yes, yes.
I personally would like to see a set of minutes approved. And since you sent this initial parts out 6 weeks ago now, and then I went through and I did exactly the same as you had with additional information.
And that's also what I did. I went through and added to what I already had and put it in a different format.
Well, Clint, advice?
The intentions and guidance given through Secretary Knock was to prepare a second set of minutes that met formatting from other committees that were used under concerns that the committee or commission expressed with the formatting. So that's what was delivered out. You can, the intentions with it as well is, do you want to approve this with this format or with this format, so that in going forward, we've kind of established what the expectations are for it. If you're not comfortable in kind of deciding on which format that you like better, you can defer the decision to future meetings on approving it. If you would like, you can approve one of the 3 and still have discussion on what you want the format to be to change going forward.
Thank you. Personally, I'd like to approve that covers what today, and I understand trying to formalize everything we have, but I think that's something we should maybe consider for the next meeting. That way we're done as of this point. And then we kind of move forward with discussion next time. Board members, what are your thoughts? Sherry?
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I forgot my hearing aids and I couldn't, Clint or you, so if you just speak louder, that would be helpful, but the gist of Clint's remarks could be spoken in one sentence. I wouldn't burden you anymore.
Hi, Don.
In the history of my employment, Don, I'm not sure that I've ever said anything that could fit into one sentence. Bit of a soapboxer and try to sound important, but I'll do my best. You can take the option today to do nothing, defer making motion on the minutes until a future meeting. You can also take action to approve one of the 3 sets of minutes that you have today as presented or with amendments that you decided they need. Or you can kind of do, you can still vote on a set of minutes and say, well, we want these minutes for content, but going forward into the future meeting, we would like this type of a format. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
Supervisor
Mr.
Seat.
Chairman, you asked that the minutes that you presented be approved for today only. This would still afford us the opportunity to look at Karen's format and address it the next meeting.
Correct.
I move that we approve the minutes that the chair requested approved for today.
And that would be the set that I sent out.
Has the red print on it.
That's got the red print on it. It's the one that Karen essentially had written initially with additions that I had made based on the video that had been taken at our last meeting. And I feel it's more inclusive, and that's where the 3 points come in that I said to the next meeting that should have been considered this meeting. So Don is suggesting that we accept that set of meeting minutes, and we, at our next meeting, consider the new format. So Don has made that motion, and they will in that.
Second.
Okay, Van seconds it.
Quick discussion.
Yes.
I appreciate this interest in bringing our minutes, modernizing our minute. I want to emphasize that minutes, like all county documents, are a public document and a historical record
Yes.
of what actually happened, what action was taken by a government body. So it's very important that minutes and agendas. Can I take my mask off for a second?
Go ahead.
That now, that minutes and agendas be accurate, be understandable narrative. The statutes say that an agenda must be designed in such a way that the public can reasonably understand it, anyone in the public. And so that's very important, that we have complete sentences and that we have a subject and purpose, and so that somebody 20 years from now or 30 years from now can read our agenda or read our minutes and know what it was about. I just add that because it's very important. Thank you.
You're welcome. I think hearing Don, maybe it's better that each time anyone speaks, we take our masks down to speak. It's so much more clear. And then when you're done, please remove, put your mask back so that we're in compliance. Would that be okay? I think hearing Don, knowing, that it might make it easier for the audience to hear that as well. So it's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Where's the original minutes? Which one of them is original? Yes, I don't have that one. This is the one that Karen gave you?
Karen sent those out, I think, within 2 weeks of our last meeting. It's going to be way back in the archives.
And this is the one you made up
The one that's got,
with the red on it?
the red is on it, yes.
I just question whether you can do that without bringing this back and make this an amendment to the first minutes. Because she is taking the minutes.
Don?
Mr. Chair, I believe that the document that was sent to you initially by Karen was a draft for your review and editing. Is that correct?
That is correct, because it's
So,
it's an initial set of minutes that goes to Victor. It's kind of tentative until we approve it here. So the set of minutes that I took from our actual video, that was more complete. It filled in some of the blanks. So Sherry, do you have an idea?
we had indicated, I'm sorry,
It's okay. Take your mask down.
do I still have the floor? We had indicated in the beginning of our proceedings in various sessions that the minutes and the initial taking of the minutes and the agendas would be sent to the chair for review, editing, and review. And he, in that case, would send it back with his revision and remarks for an official version of the minutes, based upon his reading of his own notes and based upon the video recording. Now, that's the way we originally planned it. So what the chair has presented is actually the official set of documents based upon our understanding that a draft would be reviewed, edited, and sent back to Karen for final disposition and distribution to the clerk and the other units and part of the official files. Now, if that's not sufficient, Mr. Nelson, kick me.
It's not that it's not sufficient. I'm wondering who can go through and change these minutes so many times before they get here.
The final authority, I'm sorry if I'm speaking.
Certainly, go ahead.
So
I was going to ask you.
I would say that in your motion, whether you capture it as minutes presented by the chair or amended by the chair or how you want to capture that. The official record doesn't kind of get put in place until it's approved by you at the follow-on meeting before it becomes the official document that gets archived with the county clerk, et cetera.
Okay. Van, any further ideas or? Okay. I apologize for that. It was, you know, anyways, so Don had said that was my because of that, moving forward with these minutes. So we've got this officially done. And then at our next meeting, we can take up Karen and Don's suggestion, maybe to change the format so it's in compliance with the other committees on the board level. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Take your mask down, please. Take your mask down so we can hear you better.
That's all I'm taking off.
Okay.
Just one quick point, Mr. Chair. It would be helpful if we knew that Mr. Langrick had also.
Okay, Mr. Langrick, would you care to respond to what Don had just said?
Since in the final analysis, he gives the direction.
Yeah.
You're requesting that I review minutes before they're sent out to the committee, or what is it that you're asking for?
Don, what are you asking for? Turn, there you go.
Was there a question?
Yeah, what you just suggested to Clint, would you repeat that, please?
Oh, would I repeat it? I presume that Karen has probably already asked you to review her format in her minutes, and so that's all I wanted to know.
Yes, Karen brought that format to me and said, "Is this kind of meet expectation?" Not, I mean, it's not my expectation. It would be the expectation of the committee on or commission on what you want it to look like. We don't have a formalized policy or procedure on what a minute format should look like, what the content of the minutes should also include. Some of that is probably changing in real time as local governments begin recording more meetings and making data available for that in the media. So it comes down to what your expectations are as a body on what you want those minutes to look like.
Thank you. I'm just suggesting that the committee would very much value your input and your experience, as a part of creating a new document or a revised document. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. Everybody here, we would have different ways of doing it. And Victor's way of doing it is his way, based on his own experiences. And what I've put together here is my understanding of minutes to be complete, and which I'm sure the other one is also. So this is something we can discuss at the next meeting. And I think to go ahead and pass this as it exists, and maybe take up this matter at the next meeting a little bit more detail and decide what it is that we want that'll give us something to think about in the meantime. Is that acceptable to everybody? Karen?
The question.
To me,
Okay.
may I have one more comment, Mr. Nelson? I know you don't like to hear me all the time. That's fine with me. The important thing is everybody does their minutes differently. If you look at every department, their minutes are a little different. The important thing is that we have an accurate document that's readable and understandable. It's inclusive of all the pertinent facts, and so that the public has a good understanding of it, so we can be proud of it as a historical record 20 years from now and 100 years from now, when you and I are not going to be around, I don't think.
I'll be dust. Thank you. Karen, you had your hand up?
No, I was just gonna, I understood what Don was asking. The new format, I did take it to Clint for initial review before I brought it to the committee.
Okay. So with that, Van has called the question, so we'll put it to a vote. All in favor of accepting the minutes that were submitted last evening by myself, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay, the ayes have it. So we can move forward then. The next item that I have on the agenda is number 6, discuss status of full commission to fill the commission vacancy. Are there any reports on that?
Yes,
Karen, do you-
so I did get the article published in the newspaper, and I brought a copy of it to pass around just for you guys to review. I'm sorry I didn't print off 5. But it's posted, and also I took this from Health and Human Services, how they had theirs drawn up, and so I just kind of formatted it to our own needs. And then I also had this approved by Clint before it ran in the newspaper, and it did run for 2 weeks, so it's met all the guidelines by the county. So I'll pass this around for you to look at.
Yeah, I've seen it in the newspaper. Have any of you seen it also? It was in last week's newspaper and it was well done. Thank you. Have you heard anything about people that have applied for that position? Okay. I don't think, well, Clint is not here right now, but I'm aware that several people have applied, and we'll just have to let the Committee on Committees and the other committees deal with that. We'll find out, I believe, at our next board meeting, which will be next Tuesday, because we've got to deal with this according to what we had done at the last meeting. Karen?
The deadline date for the applicants and letters of interest is May 14th, which means that I really don't believe that they would have a chance to review it and to go through Marty Brewer and through Committee on Committees.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Right. So I'm thinking that it's going to be probably June. Yeah.
That was my mistake. I was confusing 2 things. Victor Vlasic has resigned, and his job is going to be filled next Tuesday. That was my error. So this one, Karen is correct. May 14th, 12 noon is the last date that someone can apply for this position. And it will be after that time that the full board is going to have to deal with it after the committees do it and come up with someone for that. So like you said, it'll probably be in June. So we've got a 4-person board at this point, and we will have that until someone is appointed by the entire board. So is there any further discussion on that? I've seen it. Thank you. Moving forward then, we've got number 7, report on request to move the donated Veterans Memorial from the county courthouse grounds. I kind of heard that along the way. Karen, can you fill us in on that, please?
I didn't request it. I didn't ask for this to be put on the agenda, so I'm not sure who did.
Well, I added to the agenda on purpose. Is this something that can be on this agenda? Because I did write it to her earlier.
Is it on the posted one that we have? Okay, the context of the monument, there was questions on the appropriateness of potentially moving the monument over to the behind the city center. There's the Veterans Park there where it could be recognized in relation with the other statues that are there, and where folks would potentially stop tourists and visitors coming through to also see it. The item was brought to the Property Grounds Committee, and the Property Grounds Committee made decision on keeping it as where it's at.
Okay, my question of you is, does this commission have anything to say about that? Should that have been brought here first?
You can offer an opinion, but the authority on what remains kind of on the county grounds is kind of a task that's put towards Property Grounds and Buildings Committee.
Okay, that was my concern. You know, what part should we have played in that, Karen?
Just for a little bit of background, in 2017, the Landscape Committee is the one that actually took it to the Property Committee to have them discuss it. But that was completely out of the wheelhouse of our office at all.
Okay. Any other comments?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I made the motion that it stay here on the courthouse property grounds. The monument was a gift to the county by a group of federated women in 1954. I know some of that history. My father was on the county board at the time, and it was placed there to honor all veterans of all wars. And so Karen is right. The Veteran Service Office doesn't have anything to do with it other than when it was given to the county, it was determined that the Veteran Service Office would provide the flag as needed, and generally that's once or twice a year for it. But the flag stays up. It's county property, and lots of people who are aware of the history of it would certainly be offended if we moved it, and there's no reason to move it. It's part of the county's history.
Okay, any other comments about that? Yes. Please state your name.
Sandra Kramer. I was in the office when the original monument was destroyed. They were putting in a drainage system around the old part of the courthouse. It used to sit with white brick, and the plaque was stuck in the middle of it. Jim Jewell from Krause Monument at the time came in and said that some of those bricks had been destroyed, pushed out, and the contractors who were here to put in that drainage system had done that. So he said, we have old monuments sitting behind Krause at Viroqua, and he took the plaque with him, and he said he has a stone that would cover up the mistakes that's on the stone, and they would donate the stone to us. And I said that would be fine. Another employee here at the courthouse said, well, you know, it would be nice if we had a flagpole with that, because before it was just a monument out there in the dark. And I said, well, yeah. So a bunch of veterans organizations got together and come up with some money to pay for the pole, to pay to have it placed, and we also bought the first two flags. The pole can handle a 3x5 and a 2x4 at the same time, no bigger. So they did that. We had a Vietnam veteran, and well, two of them actually, that came and installed the pole. I went to property committee before all this was done to get permission from them if we could have it. And the first thing they asked me is, how much is this going to cost us? It didn't cost the county a thing. Vietnam veteran and another Vietnam veteran got the pole in, break down the loose gravel and put in some dirt and got the grass growing. They even watered the grass. And then we had a actual ceremony out here in the front of the courthouse with several veterans organizations. Ron Fruit was the MC. There was a guest speaker, and we had rifle volley and taps played when we rededicated the new stone. So, and the lighting that's on there comes from Richland Utilities. When the street light comes on, that's when the light for the pole comes on. And so Richland Utilities takes care of that light. So the county really has nothing to do with it. And what we decided as a women's auxiliary is that we will take care of it as far as the flags from here on out. We're going to wash up the stone. We're going to use Brasso on the plaque, and we will take care of the flowers. The only time you won't see flowers out there is in the dead of winter, but we took that on as a community project, and so we will take care of it from here on out.
I thank you so much for that background, you and Don both. The picture was in the paper last time, along with a nice article about the women, part of the auxiliary that had, rededicated it. And I believe you're waiting for the flag now still. Sorry.
The flag, the POW flag is in and the flower arrangements are done. We're just waiting for a very nice day,
Yes.
because the water is cold coming out of the corner of the courthouse. We did ask if we could use the hose. So we're waiting for a nice day. We're going to wash the stone down. We're going to use Brasso on the plaque. And then we will put up the POW flag with the flag that's already out there that a member of our organization purchased out of her own pocket. And then it'll be done until it's time to change out the flowers again, or the flag. We will keep an eye on it and make
Excellent.
sure it's.
Thank you,
always-
Sandy.
you're
Appreciate
welcome.
that report. Any other
Mr.
comments on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I thank the Women's Organization for this in behalf of the county. I want to add just an addendum to Sandy's comments. I neglected to say that or it was women on the prop. They follow their landscaping. It was that the agreement and the gift was made to the county.
Okay, thank you.
Are you going to reprimand me? Battery's dead. Jerry doesn't talk.
Yes. Let's wait till we're sharing a mic here because we got a couple dead batteries. So if need be, if anybody else kind of runs out, let us know. Make sure you get a mic, okay?
So
I
Lee,
think
that's gonna be a problem you're gonna run
I
into.
think that's the plan to keep me from talking.
Yes.
It's gonna kill the batteries.
Oh, well, if maybe if you're not speaking, turn them off. We'll try and do that. We'll just kind of have to remind each other to turn these things on. In number 8, report on the findings of the Teddy Roof Fund. Karen?
So a couple of months ago, the committee reached out, they asked me to get in contact with Attorney Ben Southwick and ask for a status update, which I did. I never heard back from him, and I don't think I will. And so since the accountant doesn't have anything to do with my office, I kind of reached out to Clint to see if he could figure something out because I don't have anything to do. So fund number 83, 70. Sorry, can you speak to that, Clint?
I can, Mr. Chair, looking in, trying to find the historical on where this fits. We looked out through the banks and did not, through Treasurer Keller, she was not aware, Clerk Vlasic was not aware of an actual bank account that existed as the Teddy Roof Fund. The best lead from County Clerk Vlasic was that Fund 83, the Burial Trust Fund, is designated as the Teddy Roof Fund. We're continuing to look back through historic resolutions to see if we can find how, when it was established, and what the context of the criteria to use it in and what his intentions were. So it's at our level now of trying to figure out where the fund is, how it's housed, and what the purposes of it is for.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that. I don't think there's any further discussion on that, is there? It's out of our hands. They're still looking into it. I'd like to move on then to number 10, VA form log.
Number
Karen?
9, Chair.
Did I miss 9? Oh, monthly visitor log. Thank you.
Yep. And you guys have it in front of you. Just let me know if you have any questions. And Clint, that's one of the forms that I also gave you. Okay.
Just give me a second here.
Sure, absolutely.
Numbers to me are quite interesting. The problem I have is to put them in context, days of the week. would be nice to know so we can actually go across and see, we've got days of the month or, the numbers, but we don't know when Saturday, Sunday is, and what I'd like to do is see this. So this is something I think we ought to consider improving on. We talked about this last couple of meetings, and I think we have to actually bring this to fruition and actually do it. You,
Calendar, so that you,
okay,
I usually do, I usually have a calendar, attached with everything so that you can look what day the first was on.
yeah. When you talk with your other CVSO cohorts, do they have anything like this that they use that might be of use to us?
State forum, group that we visit and share things on, so I can put that out to them and ask for examples, collect them, and then give them to you for review.
That would be good. So if you want to put that on the schedule for our next meeting, that we'll consider this, please, within the next month, and contact others and see what else we can do to kind of improve this so it's more understandable. The second form, the VA forms that were filed, yeah, I think, that in itself, the way that's listed is much more easy to understand. So I think we definitely need to go through this. I appreciate the numbers, but we need to make them so that, we can see, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, through the month, where are maybe the bottlenecks, where are the times that you don't have, I'm talking in terms of numbers of people coming in, just,
Is no pattern. I've studied them. Some days, Mondays are absolutely crazy busy and Fridays are dead. And then there's other weeks that Fridays are crazy busy and Mondays are dead. There's no rhyme or reason. I've looked for patterns. I would appreciate the committee's help. If you guys can identify them, I will gladly do whatever you want to these forms to improve upon them.
yeah. So if you just contact some of your other equals in other counties, come up with something that for us is a little more understandable, and then we can actually see, week to week and month to month, kind of where the patterns lie. I like that you're doing this. The problem for me is to put them in context, to understand what's going on. So go ahead, Karen.
Another thing that really needs to be taken into consideration is this office is seasonal. It has different things that come at different times.
Correct.
Usually around December, January, people start thinking about their health insurance for the next year. So we see an increase there. Towards tax time, there are people that say, hey, I got these weird forms in the mail. Can I bring them in so you can tell me what they mean? And then property tax season, that brings in a whole new group of people. So it's very, very seasonal.
Okay.
And COVID really threw our numbers off last year. So we've been busy all through 2020 and into this year. We're doing more home visits because people don't want to come into the office for their own health and safety. So it's really hard to try to find a pattern, and it's very seasonal. So those are things that I promise for 6 years I've been trying to develop a pattern, and I just can't find one. So
Yeah, especially with COVID last year, that's got to be a major deterrent from doing something like that. Van, did you have something?
Mr. Chair, was that what this computer program is going to take care of a lot of that eventually?
I believe so, Karen. This is what Barb had indicated last time, and this is something we should have been able to pick up this time about that program that all the other counties use.
So
It'd be a way of consolidating.
instead of worrying about so much about these forms to change a whole bunch of stuff, that we just work on this a little farther and get it done instead of worrying about making more forms or changing more forms.
Well, I think you're exactly right. Thank you for bringing that up. I had forgotten. I think that, the thing that Barb and Karen brought up last time may very well solve this problem. So we need to really look into that at our next meeting. Karen?
so one of the things as far as this computer program and these papers, It's very hard to document numbers. Some veterans want me to fill out the forms and then they're going to take them home and they're going to finish them, they're going to add to them, they're going to mail them. So I'm not filing the forms. There's other people that just want the forms printed off. They take them home, they fill them out. There's other people that just bring in forms that want something email or something faxed to someone else. So just because I'm not filing a form, which is what these forms are, that's what this list is. Doesn't mean that I'm not completing them, doesn't mean I'm not sending them, doesn't mean I'm not printing them. It's very hard to document everything that goes on in my office as far as these forms go. A lot of them walk out the door because we tell them how to fill them out, but they want to take them home and fill them out. So it's filing forms. It just alone is a very gray area. So this computer program is going to help to track those and determine what is going out of my office. However, it's not going to be accurate, 100% accurate. I just want to make sure you guys know that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Don?
Looking at this visitor log, Karen, on the, what did you say, something?
No, you're on.
Oh, looking at this visitor log, on the 1st of April, tell me if I'm right here, we had 32 phone calls. We had, is that 62 walk-ins? Oh, 6 walk-ins. I was going to say you were swamped that day. And of those phone calls, are most of those just for information or appointments or other things?
Well, the phone calls, again, this form doesn't accurately depict everything we do because if I have to send a fax, I get 4 notifications that the fax has been sent, which comes in the form of phone calls. So if I send 1 fax, the numbers show 5. So if I get an incoming fax telling me that it received it, any emails, any phone calls, any faxes, they all go into that category because I can't break it down and itemize it. It would be very time consuming. So this form works good for me that I can bulk them all in together, but there's no way that I can. So if I do 4 claims in one day, that's 4 faxes, plus I'm going to get 4 return receipt faxes, plus I'm going to get 16 additional phone calls telling me that they received it. So it's very, very, very hard to document by just labeling them as phone calls. So
Yes.
so that's why the numbers you can never tell really on what they actually stand for.
Karen, separate from calls and walk-ins, uh, uh, how do I know how many appointments you had that day with people, with clients? How do we know that?
You want to know how many
Pardon?
scheduled visits I have a day?
I'm sorry. I said, how do I know? Take this mask off. How do I know on this, say, 1st of April, you had 6 walk-ins and you had, a high number of phone calls, but how do I know how many appointments you had that day? That's not on here. That's not in the columns. Huh?
Right.
So it's kind of important to know how many appointments you have so that we can measure the workload in the office with, just with all the data that we can find. We have no way of knowing of measuring the workload based upon empirical data unless we have all the empirical data. So I think you're right. I think we need to think about upgrading this form and getting data that's helpful to us. and helpful to Karen in managing her workload. I presume that most of your requests for claims assistance, uh, applications for assistance are by appointment. So do they take quite a bit of time or not?
No, usually we get the walk-ins, they'll come in 2 or 3 at a time, and so we have to send a couple away, and tell them to come back later. The appointment is only to block that time. They are booking that time, that is their time. And so we tell people that if they'd like to schedule an appointment, they can, because it bookmarks their time, but they don't have to schedule one.
Okay, Karen, so that when you have 2 or 3 walk-ins come in, do you manage them by giving them an appointment and blocking it in for a certain date?
No, it depends, there's no way to tell until I find out what they want.
Yes, well, when you know what they want,
If
If-
it's something that I can do within the hour, then I'll ask them to sit down. But if I have an appointment coming in 20 minutes, then I have to ask them to come back. It's all very subjective. There's no way that you could dictate that.
yeah, except that that would give you a little more control over the flow of your workload if you, as many as possible, you set up with appointments, right?
We tend to.
Pardon?
We tend to set up appointments if it's going to take an hour.
Yes.
If it can be done in an hour or less and I don't have anyone coming in, then we'll do it at that same time at that same day.
So if you're sitting there and you give somebody, you take them in that hour that they don't have an appointment for, and you have 2 more people come along, you've got a backup there because you're giving this person 1 hour and they're going to have to wait, right?
I would schedule a time for them to come back after I learned what they needed.
Yeah. So when they come along, do you have enough privacy to continue on with the person that's getting the claim and have your assistant manage the appointments?
If it's in the morning,
Yes, I see. Yes. He's not there in the afternoon.
correct. He does work some afternoons as need dictates.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to be helpful here in terms of your having a smooth flow of your workload and
Yeah.
not being overwhelmed with people coming in without appointments and suddenly flooding the office. One of the things about that office is that there isn't much room.
We do very well in managing our workload. Everything is scheduled. We don't have any overlapping, and if we do, we apologize. Sometimes an hour appointment takes 2 hours. You can't
Sure.
tell until you sit down. So our workload is very well. We manage very well. I have a good staff.
How many claims would you say that you file in a month in behalf of veterans?
The VA log, if you give that a look,
Or
the
just
problem.
tell me so I don't have to use my
Okay,
magnifier.
well, a 1010, which is a health application form, I don't know if you would consider that a claim. A 526, I don't know if you'd consider that a claim. A
Don't give me the
32,
numbers, just tell me
I
how
would
many
just-
claims.
I can't answer that question because I don't know what you're going to consider a claim and what we would consider a claim. There's
Let me put it this way. They're applying for assistance from the VA or the state, and you're assisting them in doing that. How many a month? Did you ballpark it?
Sure, let me look at the VA log form quick.
Would the number at the base be the answer? You got 57 listed there.
No, because that's only forms we fill out. The intent to file, which is the 0966, that's not a claim. The 526 would be a claim. The 4138 with company.
Karen, we don't know the numbers. You have to tell us what it is. We don't know what those numbers or codes mean.
Now, may I interject at this point? I don't want to have this carried on.
All right.
What I think Don is getting at is what we've talked about before. These forms need to be changed. It is not our intention to make more work for you. It's simply a matter of trying to understand the flow, the needs, the numbers. And so if there's some way we can come up with that, I think that's exactly what we're looking for. So this is not to make your life miserable. It's just to help us understand how we might help you or
I am always
share.
available to answer questions to the
So I
committee.
think with that, let's move on to number, which one are we on, 10?
No, we're on number 11.
Okay, we kind of covered them both at one time.
Correct.
So 11, DA van updates.
There are no new updates. We have approximately 3 new veterans within the county that are applying to become drivers. And as always, we're encouraging other people to reach out. Drivers do not have to be veterans in any way. They can just be citizens that wish to contribute to the cause. So that's my update.
Okay, thank you. And the budget updates then?
So the budget updates, I wanted to bring this up. The reason why I didn't put the printer on the agenda is because John, the maestro, has managed to get our printer back up and working shockingly. Thank you for that, by the way. So the reason I didn't put that on the agenda is we're good for now.
Okay, thank you. And the
Oh,
military was,
you say you're good for now?
Correct.
Oh,
so in the military, it's called broadband maintenance, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
And as far as the other budget updates, the flags, I told you guys it's that time of the year that cemeteries are coming in to get their flags. I've started purchasing them. So everything is on schedule. Our budget is exactly where it should be for this time of the year.
okay. And that was one of the other items. It's something that we had done in the past. I look back over the years, and there's some additional information that maybe we would ask you to provide, and we can deal with that at a later time. But if there's nothing further, anybody else, I think that covers everything we have. We've gotten down to number 14.
quick question.
Yes,
I know my battery's gonna go dead again if I do this, keep doing.
you can start, Don.
Karen, you mentioned the flags. Are they picking them up here and around the 1st of May or?
They started picking them up probably about 3 weeks ago. They had come into the office for another matter, and so they just took them with them. So the flags have been going. I guess actually now I just thought of something else to talk about. The size of the flags, we went down a size. They're much cheaper, and it's easier on our budget, and it's the size that the other counties were already doing. 12 by 8s. We went from 12 by 18s to 12 by 8s, I believe is the size without referring. So we're trying to lighten our budget. And it's kind of the size that all the other counties go with. And it actually benefits. I've had Viola and Casanova both tell me it benefits them because now their flags are all one size. It kind of made some people, well, why does this guy have a bigger flag? So we do have some of the big ones for the smaller cemeteries that insist that they get 10 big ones. But for the most part, we've pretty successfully went from one size to the other. We had a couple of transition years in there, but I think this year is going to be all one size. So that's, you reminded me of that.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that's a wonderful idea. So let's move on to number 14, public input. Anybody care to speak of anything this morning? Aaron? I'm sorry, Sandy? Make sure that one works. Didn't go on, or did it?
Okay?
Yes.
Okay. At our Legion meeting back in February, we had a member stand up in front of us and told us that the CVSO was asked if she was going to come to our meeting that evening. And the response to the member was, only if I get a formal invitation. So we didn't take any action on it, but we were wondering, we will probably never ever send out a formal invitation to have the CVSO come to our meeting. The CVSO is always welcome at a meeting, and we just want to know. And then another member of our little group there said that's what her commission told her to do.
Her commission. Us. Uh, there's no truth to that I'm aware of. We've never instructed
Okay, from what I,
anything along
okay,
those lines.
from what I understand, Mr. Chair, was that it came from her previous
Oh.
commission members. And we want to know if that's still going to be the rule.
Well, so far as I'm concerned, we have absolutely nothing to do with that. As a veteran myself and a lifetime member of the VFW, I would encourage any and all people to participate in the American Legion, the VFW, or any other number of organizations, because we are their representation in the county government, and it's up to us to be very much aware and a part of everything dealing with with veterans here, and that absolutely everyone. So as far as I'm concerned, I have absolutely no objection for any of us, including Karen, to participate in any of these meetings, movements, that kind of thing. Sherry, any comments? Don, any comments?
I didn't quite understand the question, but,
Mr.
I
Chair,
know that-
I don't think it would be appropriate to go into terrible discussion on this if it's going to lead to some type of an action or direction. I think it's something that you would take into consideration as a public
That's right.
comment and
So-
agenda it for a future item to discuss, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Thank you for correcting me.
Sherry?
Bottom line, my vote is no. There's no reason for a formal invite.
Okay, so I think that represents everyone's feelings here. Karen,
Address the public input, if that's okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so when I first got this job, I am not a member of the Richland Center Legion. I am a member of the Lone Rock Legion. So there are 16 veterans organizations in the county. I try to hit every one at least once a year, check in with them, answer questions. Now, my office staff is a member of the American Legion here in Richland Center. He attends the meetings. He can speak for our office. Now, if they want me to come and speak about a specific thing, I'm not asking for a formal, I don't know where that came from. All I ask is that they call me and say, we need you here tonight. We want you here, because I don't need to go to every meeting. Pete is there. He is a member. Tonight is a meeting. They have a bar meeting and they have a Legion meeting. Pete will be there. He can answer questions. That is one of his roles as working in the CVSO office. 16 organizations plus Muscadet plus Ithaca plus Soldiers Grove. I try to hit them all at least once a year. And they know that I am free. I will come to any meeting that they want me to. All they have to do is let me know ahead of time. Thank you.
Understood. So an open invitation, and I know that many organizations to participate in them would be extremely difficult. There's only so much time each of us has, and it depends on time, the way things work out in our own lives. But I think we need to kind of help each other with veterans. There's a lot of veterans in need. And as things come up, if invitations go out indicating there's something specific coming up, that's fine. But as far as we're concerned, we have absolutely nothing to say about whether or not you attend.
Correct.
That's totally between you and the organization.
And the old committee had never made any such motion either. That would not have been appropriate.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. I don't think that should be getting involved in this.
Okay. Yeah, so this is something
This is
beyond,
public input. This is not discussion.
yeah, so this is beyond us, and it's just, people speaking. So, thank you. Anybody else care to participate in the public input? No? Okay. We'll take that to go to the next number then. What I would like to do is at this point make a motion to move in session. So this is my motion. May I have a second, please? Okay. Okay. Sherry, I made the motion. Sherry seconded. And I don't believe there's any discussion necessary. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. If you want to do a roll call then, this is out, I'm unaware of. So, rather than do this blanket, would you take roll call for that, please?
Don Seep. Lee Van Licht.
Van Landite?
Van
Aye.
Licht. Sherry Hillsheim. Van Nelson. And then County Administrator Clint Langrick.
Mr. Chairman, at this point, everyone would be excused except Mr.
Okay.
Burton.
We have an affirmation. We are going into closed session at this point. And let me read number 16. Closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 19.85C, considering employment,
Mr. Chairman,
promotion,
point of order, we have to ask.
compensation, and performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the government body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, considering performance evaluation data of the county veteran service officer. That is the purpose for this. And at this point, I would ask anybody not on this board to leave. So, Don? Yeah, you can stay.
It's been accomplished.
Yes. So that was written, read into the minutes. Karen, I think what I'll do is I'll let you know what transpires after this, so you can add it to your minutes for next time, or Clint can.
Documents, if you guys tell me.
Okay, thank you. Take everyone out for a meal. Okay. Peter is now back online, and I believe that we can continue at this point. About 5 minutes ago, we returned to open session, and we brought John back in so that we could get back online. So we're going to continue from that point. We're on number 19 now, future agenda items. Is there anything else that we want to see put on next month's agenda? Okay, Sherry?
A couple of meetings ago, we talked about the budget and what money the Veteran Affairs Office has. I would like to get educated on that, on the budget side of what our responsibility is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'd like that added to the agenda for next month.
Okay. I have access to some of the previous records that show that kind of thing. And what I can do is advance them to you. And these are things we might consider adding to what we asked Karen to provide for us. Clint, is there anything you'd like to add about that?
I don't think so, Mr. Chair. I'm tracking that we were still looking at talking on the veterans software. We have budget updates, the printer item we had addressed. Is there any other items that we had talked about that we were proposing for?
Yeah, those we spoke of earlier, and it'd be good at this time to make sure that that's written down. So it was the computer, it was the new programming that Barb had spoken of. Maybe we could invite Barb to be at our next meeting, since she was the one that would be the person to access that, and maybe speak to that subject so we could take action on it. And then what Sherry just said about, would you repeat what you said so that, please?
Years ago, we talked about needing to be educated. The Veterans Affairs Office is responsible for, and then in turn, our oversight. I would like to learn. It's a new method.
Okay.
Barb said she would like to have the minutes from before, as they haven't been available.
Okay. I think I may have sent them to her yesterday also. Did she? No, you need the other ones. I got a message from Barb this morning. I think it was CC'd to me that she had sent to you, and she needed the minutes from January. Let's see, December, January, and February, I think it was. Have you taken care of sending those to her?
No, I have been following what this committee, tasked me with doing. According to county policy, the minutes get turned into Victor's office, and you ask that you be CC'd on those as the committee members. And, so since you ordered that, that's what I've been doing. I used to send them out at the same time I sent out the agenda. And so that's why it was going to Barb's office. So when this committee changed how it wanted it done, that's why she stopped getting those minutes.
Okay, now this, in the first place, this was not ordered. What that was in addition to what you were already doing. That was my perception of what we had talked about. You know, Barb needs to put that in the files, and I think to not do that is wrong. So would you please take care of sending December, January, and February to Barb directly, and do include that from here on out.
I'm gonna need that in the form of a motion,
Aye.
because that's not what county policy is. So if you want me to do that extra, then I need it to, as the county policy reads right now, a copy of the minutes gets turned in to Victor's office within 10 days. That's
Right.
county policy. So if you want me to do an additional,
We can address that. We'll take care of it, Mr. Chair.
thank you.
Okay. So we will do that. I've got copies of minutes I can send, but if we need to do that as a committee, should we do that now? I don't understand
It
why
would
that
need to
would
be
be
put on the next
necessary.
agenda.
To take action to approve minutes, we'd have to have it agended in future items. To have them posted with Barb, that's something we'll take care of.
Okay, so please add that to our agenda for next time.
Got it.
So I will give her my set so that she has them.
Lee, Barb did reply to what you were speaking to before on the chat.
I don't have the minutes from there. I can't speak software.
I'm not sure what that means.
I believe that's in context for the request to have Barb come to the next meeting to talk on the veterans software.
Right.
And I'm not sure, she's not going to be like a subject matter expert on what the software can or cannot do.
Yeah, what I was concerned with is the fact that she and Karen had talked about the fact that a year ago, December, that this was brought up at the previous board, and that they were considering getting that software program that would enhance Karen's ability to run her business in the office. And they spoke very much in favor of that. And I wanted to make sure that we, as a commission, discuss that. And hopefully after the discussion, we can approve them. So we update everything and maybe make things easier for Karen and for the rest of us to understand. So that was the only reason to have her come and speak to that point. Not that she's an expert, but she has far more knowledge of that than we. So Clint?
On the historical context of previous discussions, that's what we're looking for?
Right.
Okay.
And what Barb said was she went back to that previous December's meeting where this was brought up and found nothing in those minutes to indicate that it was even talked about. So she asked me for information on that. And of course, I can't speak to that either because they were missing from the minutes, but we can take it up fresh now and maybe move forward on that. So that's why I'd like to hear her opinion as to, you know, where we should go with this along with Karen so that we can enhance her ability to fulfill her job.
That's what she's saying. She was put up there again. The minutes are not.
Oh,
The minutes aren't even there.
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
I recall making a motion, I think it maybe was at the last meeting, when Karen brought up the subject of the computer problem. I think I made a motion to go ahead and pursue the cost of a computer and bring the proposal for a purchase back to us. Didn't I do that?
I'm sorry, what had happened was we had discussed it only. There was no motion made. It was going to be brought up again in the future. But we were still collecting data, and that's the reason I didn't have it put on the agenda. But now Barb wants it put on the agenda. So we can do that for next month.
Yeah, well, fine.
Yeah,
I thought we said, let's go with it.
No, she's the IT lady, so, I mean, if she wants to put on the agenda, then we'll adhere to what she says.
yeah. Because when we discussed it, we were gonna discuss that at this meeting, but because it was not on the agenda, we've got to put it off till next meeting so that we will add to the next meeting, hopefully for some action.
I heard you say something about like, we're good with the computer right now, it's been fixed or something.
Oh, that was the
Oh, the printer,
printer.
too many things going on at once.
Okay, is there anything further on that subject?
I just, I'm sorry I came back up. I know you didn't want me here, but I really
No,
felt like,
Oh, yeah, we just said you didn't need to, but
We're open.
well,
here we are, so.
I just wanted to confirm so I can make sure I get everything. So I have for next month, I have, the computer program. The format will be discussed, the minutes format will be discussed again. The schedule for Pete and I. And if you're gonna want to report from me on something about that, I kind of need to know what you want to know. And
So-
then you also wanted the printer added. But I don't need it added, but if you would like to discuss it anyway.
Well, if that's something you and John feel that does not need replaced at this time, we can.
And we
forego
just
that.
bought toner, like, I would hate to waste that money. I would just rather kind of limp it out.
Okay, and what was the subject you brought up just prior to that? I kind of missed it.
You said you wanted to know Pete's and I agenda or schedule? Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not sure what that means, like our
Well,
office hours or what
Yeah,
hours?
what Don had brought up last time was the fact that we know what your monthly schedule is to be through the year, but month to month things change. We've got holidays, we've got days off, you may have other meetings coming up. So just to keep us informed as to what's happening, each month, just say, okay, next month, these are things that have come up that are out of the ordinary, and just
That-
to share with us.
That was one of the standing agenda items that I used to have that you didn't want on the agenda anymore.
I
So
don't,
I can definitely re-add it.
That's
That
not-
would be good. I would,
that's not something I ever suggested. Please do anything that you've done, please do. I mean, I've never given you instruction not to do things. So please do include those things, include Barb in what's going on. I believe we need to take that up again at next meeting, but none of these things have been negated by me or anyone else here. So please know that, we want things to continue in a way that benefits everybody and satisfies all of our requirements. So we're in no conflict here. So do the job that you've been doing, and I guess that's all I have to say about that.
and
Yeah.
then, I just wanted to bring it up one more time. As far as the budget education kind of update, like a really just sit down one-on-one and break it down on each line item. What Sherry and I had discussed is when the new committee member comes on, they will also need that. And so we were gonna wait until we could do, I mean, but if you want to do that and go ahead now, then we can definitely do that. It's whatever you're comfortable with.
Thing to look at this meeting for money, other than that one account that we were questioning. And so I would think that it would be a usual item that we would discuss here at this board, and that we all need education, yes.
Yep, it was item number 13.
Okay.
So yep, that's a standing item. That'll be on every month.
Okay, because we didn't have anything today.
The annual statement,
or
if you
whatever.
lost your
I don't
last
know.
copy, I can print that off.
Again, I don't know what, I'm new.
No, right, yep, exactly.
I don't know what normally has been discussed, but I do know that there was a form that was presented, I think you brought it, and I'd said, this means nothing to me. So
Yep.
I need to be educated. And so, yeah, we all would appreciate some form of education whenever the time is right. But yes, we will have a new board member, but I'm not sure now, probably not until June.
Right,
So do we wait for 3 months to
No.
not get educated? I think
Yeah.
not.
well,
I think this is something that we need to kind of put on the agenda and have available, because, whether or not we have a new person come on, these are things that we, the acting board at this point, need to know.
the county board sees the budgets as they get printed quite often, whereas Sherry and the new committee member, they're not exposed to them as often as the county board members are. So that's the only reason that we were gonna wait, because she's never seen one before, whereas you have all been.
Well, we're county board members and we've never seen that.
They're on a learning curve too.
So these are things that we would like for our benefit.
So you just want me to print off the one that I gave you a couple months ago? If you lost it, that's no problem. I can do that, no problem.
But it meant nothing to me. What I'm trying to get at.
We're at it, we're looking for a budget report and then to be able to,
An explanation.
walk through
of
an
what each
explanation.
Line item is and what our responsibility is for them.
so consideration for next meeting is budget report and educational walkthrough on items.
Please, that would be
Yeah.
wonderful.
Thank you.
And it does not have to be inclusive. It's just something to give us a basic understanding of what these things are.
Exactly.
And we're not like looking to make life difficult. We're just looking to understand.
Yeah,
You
what our
know,
responsibility.
Because in the past, the ones that I've gotten from years back, when I went back through the archives, I mean, there used to be complete, every month, there were complete itemized indications as to what monies went where, and the board had, I think you probably remember that. Well, these are things we'd kind of like to get back to so that we understand these things.
Right, the quarterly, that's what we did that when I handed out those sheets.
Well, I
It's
think.
line item
Yeah.
breakdown.
Yeah.
Every single thing is broke down.
But see, in the past, they did this every month. Every month, they pass these things out so that people are aware of, what was, that way nothing gets old and you get to cover things, as they progress. So we can discuss this further, but I can give you copies of the past. And I'd like something similar to that, as Sherry was asking. And I think a lot of that would be self-explanatory. There's not a lot to do. It's just becoming aware of where we are and where we're heading and how we stand, within our budget and, that kind of thing.
To be fair, Mr. Chairman, there may be a slight bump in the road now because
Don, would you speak closer and take your mask down?
thought you could hear me.
No.
There might be a slight bump in the road, just to be fair here. The administrative staff in the office is in the process of updating its accounting staff and bringing them in, and I'm sure there's a lot of catch up to be done. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct. We're also trying to get ready for auditors that are arriving on
So-
Monday. So we'll be entering our
Flow
audit
of
process.
information to the departments is probably impeded somewhat. Right?
I have been giving monthly budget updates, so if you would like me to improve on those, that's absolutely no problem. I can do that.
Oh, good.
It's item number 13 on your agenda.
It is
And-
on the agenda, but we've never received anything that indicates.
There
these
was no,
things.
it was just an update to talk about things that were coming out of my budget. The thing,
I don't either, but,
we talked about the cemetery flags and how I had started purchasing them.
okay.
It's on the record. I mean, it's
Yeah,
on the recording.
Yeah, I saw that as the physical, this is what we did, but there was no budget item, no monies that were talked about. And there's got to be a lot more than just the flag that's involved with that. So anyways, we'll continue this next time. So future agenda items, anything else we need to add? I think we're pretty well set. Clint, is there anything else that you can think of?
I don't think so, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Okay, let's move beyond that then. We can set a date for our next meeting, and I believe that's May 20th. That'll be the third Thursday of the month at 10 o'clock here. So if you want to get that down, May 20th, we'll get that reserved and we're all set. And with that, my stomach is going to be, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I so motion.
Okay, Sherry moves. Second? Come on, somebody. I'll second it. So Lee seconds. All in favor, say aye.